Hey everyone, welcome back to another video on my thoughts on movies and stuff. Today's video is on Jungle Cruise, another Disney bootleg, only this time they're bootlegging themselves. Jungle Cruise is based on a Disneyland theme park ride where a small boat takes a bunch of travelers on a journey through a jungle filled with dangerous animals and reptiles, but with a supernatural element. We follow the adventure of Dr. Lily Houghton as she and her brother hire The Rock to help them navigate the Amazon and find something called the Tears of the Moon. Now the guys are gonna come sailing through, but before they do, you know what I need you to do. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified about every time we upload. After that, become a bro by becoming a patron. And speaking of Patreon, as always, a major thanks goes to our Patreon bros. Your names will show up at the end of the video. Without further ado, let's get on with the show. Jungle Cruise. First off, this movie really expects me to believe that these people have nothing better to do, despite the fact that World War I is in full swing. What do you mean? Who cares about your stupid, cheap, rickety boat or the Tears of the Moon when the world is on fire? That's a fair point. But just go with it. Wasn't it fun? I don't care if it was fun. Do we really need another movie about rich white people fighting over indigenous artifacts that they stole from other countries? Don't be like that. Tell that to our ancestors. Making me sit here and watch Lily talk about Shaka's encirclement tactic. It's called Izimpondo Zenyati. Y'all keep King Shaka's name out your mouth. And that's on buffalo horns. Straight up. But despite that, I did enjoy the movie. I thought it was fun. Yeah, whatever. How do you explain Frank having survived almost 400 years in Brazil, yet speaking terrible Portuguese and sounding full-blown North American? Gosh, I didn't even notice that. I mean, one would think that he'd at least speak Spanish or sound Spanish, considering that he's a conquistador. And we don't even get to see that. We don't get to see him speak a lick of Spanish. Listen, nobody in this movie is Brazilian, native or otherwise. True, but it was still really cool to see a thrilling chase through the Amazon. Lily as the courageous researcher, McGregor, her brother, as the comic relief, and Frank as the ruffian guide who leads them. Why does this sound familiar? Because you just described The Mummy to me. Oh. I thought that this just borrowed heavily from Pirates of the Caribbean. Well, that's definitely the most apparent influence. Is Disney bootlegging itself? It's definitely trying. But I guess that's why it works. They copied movies that are much better in comparison. Your words, not mine. You guys saw that, right? You saw what he said. No, I'm not saying it was bad. Oh, sure you weren't. No, that's not what I meant. Hey man, don't worry. I'm not gonna judge you. The movie took way too long, and the antagonists made no sense. They made sense! No, they didn't. Aguirre left Spain to find the Tears of the Moon so he could find a cure for his already dying daughter. He's been alive for almost 300 years. She's so dead that he'd have to send her a friend request via a Ouija board. So why is he still chasing the Tears of the Moon? Well, what about Prince Joachim? Honestly, I think he made more sense than Lily. What? Well, think about it. He was a pretty decent guy. He only killed people if he had to. He paid handsomely for everything. And he was even willing to give a pedal to Frank. He wanted to rule the world, Guy 2. He wanted to rule the world, Guy 2. So, it's not even the worst motivation he could have. Film and television has led you to believe that only evil people want to rule the world, but honestly, it's quite a benign motivation. He wanted the Tears of the Moon for his own personal gain. So did Frank. So did Lily. Honestly, I feel like Prince Joachim was probably the nicer one out of the three of them. Even after the other two got in his way, he was still willing to let them go and let them live. Lily was going to use the Tears of the Moon to make medicine that would cure everyone, which is absolute madness. It would tear the world apart. Look at what happened to the tribe that was protecting the Tears of the Moon in the first place. That's a good point, damn it. Lily would either destroy the pharmaceutical industry or monopolize it. She wouldn't have a choice whether she wanted to or not. Well, at least her heart was in the right place. Was it though? Of course it was. Right at the last minute, she sacrificed the one thing that she had been searching for obsessively for so many years. She just sacrificed the only petal they had to break Frank's curse. Yeah, but then the moonlight shifted and another grew back. Yeah, but she didn't know that that was going to happen. Not only did she revive a man who made it abundantly clear that he did not wish to be resuscitated, she threw her altruistic motives in the trash just so that she could save her big boat daddy. She chose dick over saving the world. But I don't know, guys. What do you think? Was Jungle Cruise an exhilarating movie? Or was it as boring as driftwood floating through a lazy river? I had a moderately okay time. I wasn't completely underwhelmed, but just enough that this movie became something I watched and not something I experienced. The twists weren't predictable per se, but they weren't exactly shocking. There's a moment in the film where they have to solve a riddle of sorts. They have to figure out how to turn water into stone. And considering that we're in a movie that's dealing with magical flowers that can heal everything and curses, I was expecting something a lot more fantastical than an underwater lever. Honestly, it just felt like an excuse to have The Rock and Emily Blunt kiss each other underwater. And once again, Disney is tiptoeing with LGBTQIA+ characters. McGregor is a gay character, and in the movie they make him insinuate that he's gay, but he doesn't actually say it. And honestly, I found his explanation so vague that for a moment I thought that he was trying to say that he was in love with his sister. In a Lannister way. It's 1916. Do you know how many things he could be vilified for in terms of who he wants to bang? Rotten Tomatoes gave this film a 63%, and its audience score is actually far more impressive. IMDb gave this movie a 6.7 out of 10, which isn't bad at all. I'm giving this film a 2.9 out of 5, but let me explain. As always, the score is on how much fun I had, and I didn't have that great a time watching this movie, but that doesn't mean that I think that it's bad. I also don't really have that strong a connection to Disney outside of things like Star Wars and Marvel, for obvious reasons of course. But in my defense, I've never got to be on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride before, and I love the first 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies, so even though I'm giving what I consider to be an average rating, I don't think that this movie is bad, and I actually do recommend it. I don't have any kids, not yet at least, and none that I know of. But I do think that this movie does make for a very family-friendly movie experience. And it does have a romantic element to it as well if you want to watch it with a partner. I also do highly suggest that you watch it in cinema. That's all from me, guys. Give this video a big thumbs up for the algorithm. Subscribe and hit the bell to be notified about every time we upload. And visit our Patreon so you can let us hold $1. And as always, a big thank you goes to our Patreon bros. You can see their names on the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting us and believing in our content. It really goes a long way. The next video is going to be on the Suicide Squad, so make sure that you're back here next Thursday for another video on my thoughts on movies and stuff. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.